Today we're talking to Altrincham goalkeeper Matt Gould. It's just over 3 weeks since Matt sustained a bad injury at Bromley in the second game of the season. Matt, looking back at that day, obviously it was a very difficult day for you personally, but take us through what happened with the incident, because you got a bit of a battering.
Yeah, so what I can remember of it, all I can see is the ball coming across the midfield, and then after that I went blank. So what's obviously happened is the ball's come in, I've punched it, and as I've punched it, the guy's head's caught the side of my eye, knocked me out for a minute and a half. Thankfully, our medical team, Jake, were brilliant. They managed to make sure they did all the precautions properly, check my neck. Then I started to come round after that minute and a half, and I got up, managed to walk off the pitch, and then for about 40 minutes I was in the changing room, not knowing what was going on. Didn't have a clue, and then all of a sudden I started coming round and knowing what was happening, and then they took me to the hospital with one of my friends, got checked up, and they thought initially I had a brain bleed, which I think scared a lot of people, but thankfully it was just concussion and a little fracture to the eye socket.
It looked at one stage as if you were going to be stretchered off. They called for a stretcher arrived, but you were able to stand up, and you walked off holding your ear with a big thing covering your ear. So your ear was certainly not in very good shape.
Yeah, I split my ear in two as well, so they had to glue that up, and thankfully now it's recovered, and I've only got a little dent in it. But at the time, obviously, I couldn't remember anything, but all I could see was blood on my hands. Wondering what was going on. I thought my nose was bleeding initially, but it was my ear.
And apart from the ear, what are the other injuries that you sustained?
Yeah, so I've got I had a fractured eye socket, just an acute fracture. Obviously, the concussion ruled me out for 14 days anyway, because that was a fairly bad one. And that's it really, just a sore face. I cut all my face open as I landed on the AstroTurf as well. But thankfully, back into training last week, back into full training this week, and I've got my trusty mask with me that I have to wear in training for the next couple of weeks. But hopefully I'm back to full fitness and can get my sharpness back, because I'd really pleased with the way I'd started the season.
And how difficult is it psychologically to deal with the effects of a bad injury like that?
Yeah, I don't know yet, to be honest, until I get put in a situation where I go 1v1. I'm sure I'll be okay, because I'm the sort of goalkeeper that likes to save everything with his face anyway, and chuck my body in front of the ball. So hopefully that doesn't affect me too much, and I just go straight back into what I do.
And on the day, it was a very good performance by the team. You were in goal for an hour, and then Jordan Hume, of course, went in nets. And really good to come away from Bromley with a point.
Yeah, it was for me. It was my first clean sheet for the club, so I was absolutely buzzing that Jordan had gone on and kept it. And I think I walked into the changing room after, obviously not knowing what I was saying, but going, "Go on, lads, we kept the clean sheet." But no, it was a good point. Look, the results haven't gone the way we want them recently. We're looking for that first win, but hopefully this weekend can be that turning point and we start picking up a few more points.
And as well as being a goalkeeper at Altrincham Football Club, you're the goalkeeper coach. So to tell us exactly what that involves.
Yeah, it's a different role, but I absolutely love everything I do here. It involves, obviously, I've got the playing side of things that. Which is always high on my priority, but I have to make sure that every goalkeeper at this club is ready to perform. And as you've seen for the last 2 years, Tomo and I had a really good relationship, and although I had that little 3 or 4 month hiatus when Drenchy came in, which was fantastic for me as a player, I think it's really important that no matter who plays, they play well, but also we do the analysis right, we are prepared technically, tactically to go and play the next game.
And with the move to full-time, and with the development of the academy, we've got more goalkeepers here than we've ever had.
Yeah, I think I've had something like 10 in the building so far. It's really good to give these young goalkeepers experience and come in and work with myself and Ollie. So like we've had the 3 boys that are in the academy. Noah, Abdul's going to come in this week, and who's the one? Oh, we've also had Sonny Wright in occasionally. And we've also had now Ryan's come in from that last year, and unfortunately Ryan's picked up an injury, but Ryan's really coming along, and he's been playing really well for Alsager, and it's unfortunate he's picked up this injury at this time.
And of course, Ollie Byrne and Dermot Mee, you're working with those as well.
Yeah, no, I've not managed to work with Dermot that much over the last 3 weeks because of my concussion. But over the last week, I've started to learn a little bit about him. But with Ollie, we built a good relationship so far. He had a really positive end to pre-season. Obviously, the things with the clearance not come through doesn't help him. It helped me in terms of a playing situation, but no, it's really good, and we hopefully that relationship can build, and we can start, like I said, putting performances together, whether it's me or whether it's him, so we have positive impact on this club.
And you mentioned Tony Thompson there, and you were Tony's goalkeeping coach for a lot of the time that he was here in the last couple of seasons. And for me, Tony Thompson was a player who did something that I'm not quite sure I've seen with any other player, in that as we progressed through the leagues, he seemed to get better and better.
I think, yeah, Tony was excellent. I think one of the things that you learn as a goalkeeper is you do get better with age. And I think Tony was one of them goalkeepers, and you look at the goalkeepers in the Premier League, as the hair got older, he got better. And no, Tony was one of them goalkeepers, and for the 2 years he was really, really good for us. Didn't help. I say it didn't help my goalkeeping as a player, but look, I learned how to manage him as a goalkeeping coach. There was times where I had to put him first, especially I think it was a game against Woking where his warm up, and he won't mind me saying this, it was probably his worst warm up he'd ever done, and mentally he wasn't there, but we had to do something in his warm up just to switch him on. And then he got man of the match for a world-class save in the last minute, and he went on to have another run of good form.
And you've had a little bit of misfortune because of Tony Thompson's excellent form in the first season that you were here. You didn't get too many opportunities. Then, of course, you played in the opening pre-season game last season against West Didsbury and Chiltern, but got injured, so you missed most of pre-season. And then you've got in this year, and you probably would have played at least 2 more games if it hadn't have been for the injury at Bromley. So Lady Luck's not been not looked down on you too kindly.
No, it's not. But then on the other side of it, I may not have been called up to New Zealand. You just never know. Like I had that first game against Nantwich 2 years ago, and I started pre-season really, really well. I can remember it, everyone was going, "Oh, golly, what we got here?" And then I think COVID had a big impact on that first season for me, because every time I looked like getting an opportunity, whether it was the Cup, we'd have a 4-week break, and you couldn't not play your first choice goalkeeper for that spell. So it would either be me playing and Tony having 5 weeks off, or Tony playing and only having a 2-week break. So it made sense, and I understand that as a coach that you had to play Tony. And then last year, Tony was in really good form. I got my opportunity. Unfortunately, COVID hit us, and we had half a team for most of it. I got a little run. I thought I did quite well in them games. Then look, the Nantwich spell was brilliant for me, to be honest, because I managed to regain that competitive edge, that hunger to play again, and that's what ended up getting that New Zealand call up. And it really, really invigorated me to go again. And that's, I think, this full-time program will actually help me, because before I came to Altrincham, I was a full-time footballer that played part-time at Spennymoor. So 2 years out of full-time game had a big impact. So I'm hoping that, and hopefully the start of the season showed that I've got a lot more to show than I have done over the last 2 years at Altrincham Football Club.
And you had a good loan spell at Nantwich, and the penalty save you made against FC United in Manchester, I've got to say, one of the best penalty saves I've ever seen.
Oh, it was fun. I must have to thank the goalkeeping coach and Dave Cook for that, because they told me which way he was going. But no, look, that spell, I loved that spell. And again, it showed what I am capable of when I get a run of games. And we went on a run where we managed to end up finishing 16th, and where we were really close to, probably when I went there, it looked like we were going to go down. So again, it gives me another little positive on top of my goalkeeping coach, and that I still want to play football, and I've still got that ability to keep going up the levels.
And you mentioned New Zealand. What a fantastic opportunity to get called up to the New Zealand squad. And you've been involved in a playoff qualifier eliminator for the finals. And what a game it was. I mean, I watched the game, and I'd seen Costa Rica against England a couple of years ago, and looked a good side at that time. So I didn't really have that high hopes for New Zealand, but I've got to say I thought New Zealand were very, very unlucky not to qualify. I thought that they were the better side throughout the game, but in the end they paid for some very poor defending and conceding a goal in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, other than that 3 minutes, we were superb, and the whole experience over them 3 trips was incredible for me, and has again invigorated me to go again and really push because I want to be on every trip. Unfortunately, this injury might have cost me the next trip, but look, it's about playing football, and you have to get in the team to be able to get into them teams. But that trip, learning about different ways we play to try and combat Peru, which was the friendly, and then Costa Rica. And if Woodsy had got if the Woodsy goals had counted, then I think we'd have gone on and won the game and ended up going to a World Cup, which would be incredible. Unfortunately, we didn't. But we go again we got America and Canada in 4 years' time.
Yeah, it did look as if Chris Wood's goal had been allowed at one point, but in the end, I think it was the right decision that it was disallowed through VAR. But the quality of New Zealand's football was very, very high.
No, look, we got a really good manager. Good set of really young players that are coming through. I think we've got a couple that have just signed. One's at Bromby. Got one we've had one at Bayern Munich. We actually missed our two of our most attacking players that are at Bromby and PSV. And if they had been there, we might have had that little bit of more attacking edge. But in general, look, we've got a fantastic crop. The ones underneath could be even better. So hopefully that's the start of New Zealand actually becoming more of a football nation. We are a rugby nation, but with a footballing side as a side part. But we're getting better and better, and I hope that carries on.
And finally, Matt, looking back at the National League, the season hasn't started as we would have hoped, but 2 huge fixtures coming up now against Wealdstone on Saturday and Scunthorpe United next Tuesday. So it's a big few days for the football club.
Yeah, it is. Look, we've played up until Solihull. We've played really good football, and even parts of the Solihull game we looked lively. Obviously, the second goals or third goal killed us and put us out of the game. But look, if we can play as well as we have done, there's always a chance of us going and winning these next 2 games. And I think we've just got to make sure we are more clinical with our opportunities.
That's the thoughts of Altrincham goalkeeper and Altrincham goalkeeper coach Matt Gould, who thankfully has recovered from the injury sustained 3.5 weeks ago against Bromley, and is back now in training and looking after the many goalkeepers that we have at Altrincham Football Club these days.